Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the amendment?
On the amendment, the gentleman is in order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the amendment of the gentlelady from Montgomery County. And just for a second to talk about the example that she spoke of. Before I came to the House in January, for the last 13 years, I've been doing defense work in joint and several liability and strict liability cases. And I think I know something of how crafty the plaintiff's bar in Pennsylvania is. In her situation, where the Chinese manufacturer cannot be hauled into Pennsylvania, the smart plaintiff's lawyer never sues the Chinese manufacturer, because Pennsylvania law says that that big box store is 100% responsible for distributing that product. And the plaintiff's lawyer knows that it's incredibly expensive to use the international compacts to try to even get service on the Chinese company. Just ask the Chinese drywall people down in Florida who cannot get remuneration from the Chinese manufacturers of that drywall, and they've had to enlist the White House to use diplomatic power to do so. So I don't think that the gentlelady's example would ever be affected by the Fair Share Act, even under her own amendment. I will say this. The Fair Share Act, the legislation from Mr. Schroeder, I'm sorry, from the gentleman from Chester County, is designed in the situation for where the main wrongdoer, somebody who's 60 or 70% liable, but is bankrupt or judgment-proofed, that the minor contributor, 10%, 5%, that individual or that company is protected from having to pay the entire verdict. That is fair, and the unfairness is working out in the courts of Pennsylvania every day. Let's just think of some examples. Under the gentlelady's amendment, the Fair Share Act would protect these individuals. If the main wrongdoer were 90% responsible and the minor wrongdoer were 10% responsible, under the Fair Share Act, the 10% responsible would be protected. Under the gentlelady's amendment, they would not. If the main wrongdoer were 80% responsible and the minor wrongdoer were 20% responsible, under the Fair Share Act, that minor wrongdoer would be protected. Under the gentlelady's amendment, they would not. Even in the situation where the major wrongdoer is 80% responsible and the minor wrongdoer is 11% responsible and the plaintiff is 9% responsible, under the Fair Share Act, they get protection, but under the gentlelady's amendment, they would not. And finally, maybe the most egregious, under the gentlelady's amendment, if the main wrongdoer, who's judgment-proof, is 99% responsible and the other defendant is 1% responsible, you get no protection under the gentlelady's amendment. For those reasons, I oppose the amendment and urge my colleagues to follow suit.